Well, ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Archie Sharma.
Right. Hey, everyone. Can you hear me? Looks like yes. All right. Good afternoon. I really appreciate you taking the time out. I know I'm between you and a couple of pints of beers in a couple of hours, so I'll try to finish early and give a little bit time for Q&A. I love the crowd interaction, so would love to get questions and answer any questions you have. But today I'll be talking about the future of coding with AI agents. And I represent ZenCoder. I'm the CEO at ZenCoder, so super happy to be here. We are a new startup in the space. We've been around for just over a year, 80 people across 20 different countries. And we have launched our leading coding agent in the market about 3 months ago. And so before I actually talk about ZenCoder, I'm going to be talking about how we see the market evolving. So I'm going to use soccer, football, as an analogy today, as a game we all love. So just like in soccer, a lot of how the kind of game evolves is you have individual brilliance and you have teamwork, and you have to do both to score that big goal. Software development and coding is undergoing, I would say, a similar path. Right now, a lot of the developers are very, very creative, and a lot of innovation depends on the creativity of the developers. And they have a very, very amazing tool now with you, which is basically AI agents that can help you work on your routine tasks and repetitive tasks, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's dive in. So if you look at the broader landscape, our playing field, it has changed, and a lot of organizations are looking at three things, right? One, they want to go faster, they want to deliver a lot more, they want to cut costs, and they want to reduce developer burnout or just improve developer experience. And with these kind of rules, there is one rule that stays the same. You want to innovate. You want to move your product vision forward. You want to advance your product vision. Think of the ball as your product vision. It's moving at the speed of thought. It never drops. It never loses momentum. It is context aware about your kind of initiatives and code across your repository. And every touch that you're doing as a player or different players adds a ton of value, right? And there are certain other factors you need to kind of consider to make those winning plays. One is who are the other players on the field? What's your ecosystem like? So you as a developer are working with multiple platforms, so you're doing a lot of context switching across different platforms. And the other aspect is your organization itself, right? Like how are they defining their planning processes, their requirements, the tools they're going to be using. So you're kind of dealing with all of that, right? So with that, I just want to give you a vision of how we see the space evolving. Just like in self-driving cars, you have different levels of autonomy. In the space of coding as well, there is we see it as a different levels of autonomy that are taking shape, right? The first was when you put like a wrapper around LLMs, and that phase was about 3 years ago with Copilot kind of coming up with that. The second phase is adding context. So a lot of players started to add context, which is basically your code base and different files or your entire code base. The third level is where we are right now, is where these software agents have come up, where they are able to go and solve a bug for you in Jira, or look at issues coming from Sentry and start to kind of resolve those or suggest to the developer a solution. The next level would be where you would have these agents kind of interacting with each other. So you will have a coding agent pass on to a unit testing agent, pass on to integration testing, and end-to-end. And that's coming sometime this year as well. And then you have like level 5, which is autonomy, where you're kind of thinking, the coding agent actually thinks about a problem and comes up with a solution, comes up with requirements for that solution, comes up with the code, tests it, and deploys it. I think we are very far away from that vision. I think that's not here anytime soon. So our vision is to kind of get to level 3 where developers can focus a lot on the creativity and innovation, and these coding agents kind of help you do all the mundane tasks and repetitive tasks. And that's where we think the space is going to evolve in the next 24 months, 36 months. These agents are going to get smarter, but they're not going to replace anyone. We think like developers are just going to become a lot more productive. And a similar thing probably happened to accountants back in the day when you had Excel and you were doing ledgers without Excel, and now you're doing ledgers with Excel, and that really makes you very productive. And that's what we think these agents will do for developers as well. And so in 2025, we are at a very important juncture where we are at a place where there are two advancements that need to happen that will help these agents become really, really productive for developers. First is around tools, which we talked about, the ecosystem, which is right now you're doing a lot of context switching and integrations are not there. And so this tool support needs to come in to agents. And we are actively working on that. I'll talk about that in a bit. And so it's really integrating into your CI/CD pipeline. And the second step is around verification, that the code actually compiles and works and is doing what you expect it to do. And there are serious advancement that needs to happen in that as well for these agents to be really productive for you as developers, right? So with that, I would just kind of give a pretty bold statement. We think in the next 24 months, 90% of menial, repetitive, mundane tasks will be automated by these agents. And this is probably if you are using agents right now and for a lot of your repetitive tasks, you could actually automate 25 to 30% today. And that number will keep going up over the next coming months, quarters, and a couple of quarters, it will be 90% is what we think we are heading towards. Now, giving you case in point, Zencoder. So a typical coding agent works, or assistant works in the top of this slide is basically how a coding agent is working. Is basically it's a wrapper around your LLM. It provides some context. The context is not optimized for the LLM. So it does generate a ton of hallucinations. LLMs do produce hallucinations still, even with what OpenAI launched today. It's not like the 4.5, for example, is not a model that is even better on the coding side than Claude 3.5, which was launched last year. So there are still hallucinations that are happening quite a lot. And so what we took as an approach at Zencoder is two things. One, we actually developed a context engine that marries not just your context around your code base, but also understands your ASTs of your kind of IDE and programming languages, and generates a context engine that provides just enough context for the LLMs to minimize those hallucinations. That's one step we do really well. We call it repo grokking, and that requires a lot of kind of search, advanced search graphs, embeddings that we are kind of understanding the relationship between the code and whatnot. And with repo grokking itself, we are able to improve the performance of the quality of the code by 25% alone. On top, we have what we call these agentic repair pipeline, that for a developer that is generating code, every time you call us, we ensure that we try to correct all the syntax errors, we validate the code and repair it. And that, in turn, improves the performance of the code by another 20%. And that's how we are kind of differentiated than some of the other players out there. And with just like Zencoder today, you could be the greatest player on your team. And essentially, what we envision is again, like you are going to be using these agents to do a lot of the repetitive work, which is like unit testing, code refactoring, code reviews, things you it doesn't require innovation, and essentially you focus on developing new applications, new features, new innovations in the market. There's a lot of work to do. We have kind of launched our agents with, I would say, top left as features. We are moving to a ecosystem where I talked about these 3 fundamental blocks that powers us in the middle. We are moving towards integrating with a lot of solutions with Zencoder. So in a week, we are launching 20+ integrations where you could point Zencoder's agents to a ticket in Jira and say, suggest solution for this ticket, and it would be able to go and kind of do that for you. Similarly, for Sentry, you could do that for Sentry, and we will have integrations with GitLab and GitHub and 15 other solutions out there. And then the other area of innovation that is going to happen later this year or very soon is about these powerful offline agents, where essentially you could have these agents running in the background while you are kind of sleeping and tracking your Jira instance for new bugs that are popping up and trying to solve for those. And then when you kind of wake up, you'll have a report where the agents were able to solve, say, X tickets. They weren't able to do Y tickets, and take a look at X versus Y and try to kind of move your day along, right? So that's where we're heading towards as the next kind of level. And there's more beyond that, but I just wanted to talk about the immediate next ones. And so the way we think about the space is this chart right here. It's a nice sort of a chart, but let me just kind of walk you through it. Like the first level is we want to be where developers are. So we don't want to come up with another fork of another IDE. So we are in VS Code, we are in JetBrains, we'll be in Xcode, we'll be in every IDE the developers are. So that's easy, table stakes. I mean, we've already kind of solved for that. The second is contextual understanding. There's a lot more to be done there. We are leading in that area, but we continue to evolve and make sure that we are doing a lot more. So, for example, like a lot of our pilots that we are running with, they come back with, hey, we have multi-repos and we don't have mono-repo, and we want to you to understand across repos what changes are needed. And so we are kind of launching that very soon. And so there's a lot more complexity as you kind of go in contextual understanding of your code base. The third is around SDLC coverage. I talked a little bit about it. Tool support is one of it, where you have integrations across the entire kind of CI/CD, and we are taking the first step with those 20+ integrations very soon, but a lot more to do. And the scope and scale of it is the next one, where I talked about multi-repo tool support, but essentially you could have those agents kind of talking to each other, and the UI needs to be that you have these runners that are running in the background and reporting to you what you need to see as a developer. And so that vision needs to come to fruition. And the last stage would be autonomous agents, where a lot of players have talked about it. I think we are far away from it, and there's a lot more to be done on that area to kind of get to autonomy of, I don't think it's coming anytime soon. So the first 4 pillars, I would say, are very important. And a lot of progress needs to be made across like pillar 3, 4, to actually make these agents super useful for developers and automate a lot of the repetitive work that you have. With that, I just want to kind of walk through where we are as Zencoder. We benchmark ourselves constantly. We are at about 62% right now on the SWE bench, if you've heard of software engineering benchmark. So we are one of the top 5 players in that benchmark. But we also do human evals, so we don't really only rely on benchmark. We actually look at how our code is performing from our developers will look at it and compare ourselves to others in the market. And we found that we are the best solution if you compare folks on the list here. With that, just want to end the note here with just wrap it up and Just kind of mention again that the future of software development is team sport here, and players on your team are essentially these AI agents who can automate a lot of your work, help give you that ideal assist to score the goals. Thank you for your time and attention. I'm open to any questions you may have. This is a barcode. You can go to our website and give us a try and see if this kind of works for you. We have a free plan. We have a paid plan at $19 per dev per month. Yeah, open to questions.